I am thrilled to partner with Ancient+Brave. I am all about creating space for wellbeing in my day-to-day. And with Ancient+Brave, you can find your own ritual with their sustainably sourced collagen, blends and supplements, whatever your wellbeing goals. You can add a scoop of collagen or a dash of MCT oil to your morning coffee for the ultimate habit stack. What's more, Ancient+Brave are proud members of 1% for the Planet, meaning 1% of all their sales goes directly to environmental causes. So by adding true collagen to your wellness routine, you can take care of yourself and the planet too. For more details, visit ancientandbrave.earth/planet and discover how your choices can make a difference. Hello, I'm Caroline Marshall and welcome to Bump to Business Owner, the podcast speaking to mums in business, you. I'll be in conversation with some of the most inspiring women and mothers in enterprise about their journey, how they created their successful businesses alongside raising their children, and what that looks like in work and family life. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Bump to Business Owner. I am your host, Caroline Marshall, and today we are bringing a very special episode in partnership with Ancient+Brave, our new sponsor for the next few months, and we're welcoming their head of nutrition, Jo Woodhurst. Jo is a BANT registered nutritionist following a career pivot after teaching. She takes a holistic approach to wellness, giving people the tools to better control their health instead of restrictive diet programs. Her practice is about balance, long-lasting changes, and realistic lifestyle choices. Jo's work with Ancient+Brave includes advising on future formulations and writing health articles, as well as taking on the role of educating their audience in holistic well-being, interviewing health experts, and writing copy for magazines and press articles. Ancient+Brave is a mission-driven wellness brand with an award-winning range of collagen, MCT oil, and nootropic blends. They are a community-built brand, and from day one, they have embraced innovation and sustainability. Social and environmental responsibility is at the heart of everything they do. They are B Corp certified, donate to 1% for the planet, certified carbon neutral, and a founding member of the ESG mark. Wow, what a bio, what a company you are, and welcome, Jo. I'm so pleased to have you.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was a delight to listen to. Thank you for your very kind intro. That was lovely. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's not my first time I've seen you. You did a talk at Frame, and I was like totally sold on the brand. I was like, I use it all the time, and I do believe in that, just taking that time for yourself. It really is at the core of everything we do with Bump to Business Owner, of being business owners and mothers, but really having to take that time for yourself. I do think then everyone gets the best from us.
For sure. And I think taking that time for yourself is so important, but often we can only take little snippets of time, right? We're all very busy trying to run businesses and babies. And if you can just find that moment in your day, that's even just a cup of tea, we've tried to just elevate that a little bit for you to make it super easy to take that moment, so you're not having to add another thing to your to-do list.
And make it more interesting as well. Like I do think that the drinks are nicer than the tea, although I've got a drink now, so there you go.
Great, yes. And as you should.
I'm taking my moment while speaking to you, because I felt that.
Yeah, we have to layer them up sometimes, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, Jo, let's start with your career journey, because I think something our listeners are always really interested in is that, like, I do speak to a lot of teachers or a lot of people, say in the NHS, who have gone to them for their flexible lifestyle and then realised that it just doesn't work out when they become a mother. So how did that look like for you pivoting, and was it because of motherhood?
Yeah, I actually left teaching before I became a mum, but it was due a lot of it the workload, and it's just such a demanding job, and I'm really not scared of hard work. And in fact, I often
business owners aren't scared of hard work. No.
I'm really not, and I love that, but there was something about the imbalance of my work-life imbalance, and also there was a niggling feeling inside me that I should be doing something different, which had been brewing for a while for me. I wasn't really looking after myself while I was teaching as well, so I was very different to how I am today and how I approach life and nourishment and balance and stress. And I was just sort of working on all cylinders, I was very go, go, go. I was very sociable at the weekends. I just wasn't giving myself the proper nourishment. And I needed to do a little bit of healing with my relationship with my body and my relationship with food, and all sorts of things were happening at a similar time as to when I was trying to navigate this really demanding teaching career as well. But really the spark for me was my mum had been ill for a really long time in my life, and she was coming to the end of her chapter. And that was really significant for me because I kind of looked back, and there was something about her path and her journey with how she approached her illness personally that was just super inspiring to me. As sad and devastating as it was to lose her, she implanted some really amazing lessons for me in terms of health and wellness. So when she was first diagnosed, she was actually a nurse. So she was always working in the public sector and knew how to care for people in a really amazing way. But when she turned to herself, she did turn to holistic practices to support her journey. And she managed to extend her life expectancy well beyond what doctors thought she would. So we got all that extra time with her. And a lot of that is down to how she navigated her nutrition. She tried everything: nutrition, yoga, meditation. We were out in nature all the time. My norm was seeing like green juices flying all over the house and organic veg boxes.
How old were you? Do you mind me asking?
So I was in my teenage years when she was first diagnosed, and she was actually given about 6 months to live at first. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So it was really aggressive brain tumours that she had to live with, and cancer with that. But with working with the NHS, so she did go through treatments alongside these holistic practices. She did manage to live for about 15 years extra, which is just incredible and such an amazing story. And it wasn't actually until it came to the end of her life that I could really reflect on this and how impactful that had been for her. And then how I wanted to let other people know that they could help their bodies and put their bodies in this really amazing position of strength and vitality through nourishment in all different aspects, nourishing the mind and the body and the soul. So it led me to train as a nutritionist whilst I was still teaching at the time, which I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, that sounds a lot.
It's a 3-year course. It's really intense.
Oh, wow.
And at that time I was a senior leader at school as well, so I was really kind of it was a passionate drive.
You have to really have passion to do that at the same time.
Yeah, and I will say I wasn't a mum at that time, so I could just really focus in on myself. And so yeah, it was a very different time for me. And then in my last year of training, I decided to take the leap and leave teaching, and did feel like starting again, honestly, because I'd come 10 years through my teaching career, got to a point where I was starting to be a bit more comfortable with earning some money and being in a senior leadership role, and then I had to start from scratch with my own business. So it did feel like a leap of faith, but in all honesty, I've never ever looked back, and it brings me so much joy to do what I do now.
What a story. And to know you'd now gone through that with your mother, I mean, I'm so sorry, and I love you highlight there, she did go down the medical route, but the holistic, put in, it was like a blend of the two, the Absolutely. Holistic and the medical, because I think sometimes it's quite clear to say how wonderful the medical world is.
Yes,
and it's needed. Totally, it's not just the holistic side.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's using all the tools you can. I really do. And everybody's path and journey is different. So I'm not saying that that's the only way, and her way was just what she chose to do. And she was a nurse, and my sister's a paramedic, and I truly believe in all the things that we've learned in the medical advancements that we have. And at the same time, I also believe in the ancient wisdom we can draw from and from nature, so that we have all these amazing tools at our fingertips, really. And it's just being open to using all different types that suit you, I guess.
And I think something you also said that we can all relate to, actually, it brings me back to a podcast episode we had with this lady called Holly, who's the Pilates PT, and she did a dissertation at university about girls who go to uni and get eating disorders. And I was like, it was like looking in a mirror. I was like, oh my God, is that a thing? It wasn't alone. But you can say, like, even with you having been brought up from teen years with all this amazing nutrition, that you had to have a healing relationship with that, which I do think so, especially our generation of women, have really had to have that journey.
Yeah, definitely. And we were just bombarded with negative messages about how our bodies should look and what we should be achieving. And in all honesty, that was probably the pivotal point in me feeling well and healthy, was actually turning inwards and starting to heal that relationship with myself and listening to the words I was using about myself and how I would talk about myself and even like touch and pinch my parts of my body I didn't like. And, you know, it all matters. Our body is listening. And I think that turning point of really, when I ate something, I wasn't just eating it because I felt I had to and it was lunchtime, it was because it was a source of love and nourishment for myself. And it changed everything, actually.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because that's such a story you've been on. And so when you started your business and everything, what led you to Ancient+Brave and started working with them as well?
So this is where my little girl did appear during that time. So she was a lockdown baby, as we all got a bit busy during lockdown.
Which lockdown? So which one was she born in?
So she was born in March, and
wow! So
it was really at the beginning,
wow.
Yeah. And I remember, no, it was like maybe the second lockdown now. Oh, I can't remember. There were so many. But
2020 or 2021?
2021. So
right, yeah. No, my second son was December 2020. So that was the second one.
Right. Yeah. So you'll understand. It was just so strange where you were told that you know, your partner might not be in the room with you while you have your baby. It was such a strange time.
It's interesting because actually March 2021 you're probably the final ones that got that. I had friends who had babies in May 2021, completely different experience. They're like, I don't remember what time of COVID that was. And I'm like, well, then you didn't really have that. It's funny how quickly it suddenly changed when they realised, I think, how they've been treating pregnant people and women and mothers in that. It had been a year by the point you had yours, Jo. So I think they'd suddenly caught on that hadn't been right.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, thank goodness that changed quickly for people, because it was a really strange time. But yeah, she was born, and then I was really trying to get my practice back up and running quite quickly. Self-employed, I didn't really have much choice but to get back to work at that point. And she was about 10 months old when I was, you know, kind of juggling the new mumness and the babyness of it all. And how Ancient+Brave and I connected was just really organically and quite serendipitously. They were looking to bring someone on board. They invited me in for a cup of tea. They'd seen some things I'd put out on social media. And as soon as I sat down with Kate, who's the founder, Lara, who's now my good friend, but also the marketing director there, I knew instantly this was something really special. It was quite the early days of Ancient+Brave at that point. We were literally a kitchen table business in Kate's
hence
house.
The cup of tea at the table.
Exactly. And, you know, they were busy, they were starting to grow, things were starting to change. And I remember Kate saying, it's going to be a big journey, it's going to be exciting, it's going to be a lot of hard work. And, you know, is this something that you're interested in? And I was just like, absolutely. I knew straight away, with everything that they brought to the table, with the sustainability and the ancient wisdom and just the products, the quality of the products. I was like, yes, I want to be able to help this. And yeah, it's been a dream team ever since.
I mean, it's literally in the title, with the ancient wisdom, isn't it? And how have you kind of gone on that journey with it? Because that's something I've only really, I had to go through my own healing journey. We almost lost our second child in COVID, so I had PTSD. So it really made me go on that huge healing journey that I've never been on before, and start to appreciate there's so much our bodies have been doing right for many centuries that we need to bring back to ourselves. Was that for you? Because while you saw the nutritional side from your mother, was it that side that she knew about, or was that your own journey you were discovering?
It was a bit of both, honestly. She definitely opened the doors to it. She was extremely curious about all types of healing modalities and just brought them into the home. I kind of saw them all around. She trained as an aromatherapist and a Bowen practitioner, and she used yoga all the time. So I was aware of all these different ways in which she could, heal the body. But really, it's been delving into it a lot more with Ancient+Brave. It spoke to me on a really deep level as soon as I saw the name and the design, and I could really, be involved and pull out a lot more of that ancient wisdom and bring it into our formulations a lot more. So it has been through Ancient and Brave that I've really discovered a lot more about ancestral health, you know, these biological norms that have been set for us thousands of years ago and that our bodies still do now, and how we can bring that into modern day life. Because I think whilst we are ancient and brave, we believe in ancient wisdom, but we don't want to go back to the past. I don't want to
There's some nice
go
things
and live in a cave. Yeah, I think we have amazing advancements.
I'm good with the bed.
Yeah, exactly. We have these incredible advancements in technology and in the medical world. And, you know, we don't want to dismiss those. They're really important too, but it's just getting that balance right. I think we've swung the pendulum too far one way at the moment. We're all about just sort of modern world innovation, what we can do, all the hacks we can manage, but actually there's all this past wisdom behind us that we can still draw upon, and which has been literally thousands of years in the making. So we can't dismiss that either. So it's just bringing that pendulum back into the middle, just balancing what we knew then with what we know now, and just trying to make sense of that a little bit.
It's really interesting, because how do you think of that about your motherhood period as well? Like, I've just learned about, in the past few months, the term matrescence, and I've realised I really didn't give that enough credit. And now when I've got friends I know who are pregnant or having a baby, I can just see they're in that period. And even if they don't want to admit it themselves, I can just kind of give them a bit more kindness on things that I didn't give to myself. How did you feel about that period for yourself? Did you think your nutritional, like now that you're working in nutrition and healing, it helped you? Or do you think it was still a bit of a tough transition for you?
It's such a transition, isn't it? It's such a journey. And I think even with the best will in the world, with all the preparation that you can give yourself mentally, you do change, and there's just no way to get around that. And I think the resistance to that change is sometimes the hardest part, because I definitely convinced myself before having a child that I would not change. I'd still be Jo.
I love that. Yes, that's it, isn't it? We're all so scared of change.
We're
and it's
so
like,
scared of the
I'm
change.
not going to change. I'm going to be exactly me with a baby.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, I hate to admit it, but I had some negative connotations with some parts of motherhood, and I would be like, I'm not going to be that mum who does that thing. And I really don't like looking back like that now, because I know now what a privilege it is to be that mum, and you know that doesn't happen for everybody as well. So I think yes, I think if I could give any advice, it would just be to know that you will change, and that's okay, because you're actually going to gain an awful lot. It's not just about what you're losing out on, and there is a bit of grieving for the life that you once had, but really, you know, you gain this whole new set of skills, this like bags and bags of unconditional love. And for me as well, what was really beautiful is I was suddenly a member of this community that I hadn't been before, and this community of mums who are the most supportive, it's just this beautiful community who wraps their arms around you. And even if it's just like a nod from a mum across the park when you're the only two mums at 6 a.m. pushing your kids on a swing because they will not sleep. Or if, you know, getting bags of clothes from a friend whose child has run out, you know, grown out of their clothes. Yeah. It's just such a beautiful thing to be part of. And again, that is within our lineage. That's in our, you know, that would have happened more and more as we look down the past. We would have been in our big tribes with, you know, everybody helping each other out. And I think my family, they're wonderful, but they live ages away. They're up in Yorkshire, so they're not down the road. And I really did notice actually the loneliness that it can be to be a mother. And I say that with a really wonderful partner who's a great dad, but still a lot of it I was feeling I was navigating on my own. And I think that's the watch out, is surround yourself with people, because you do need them and you should lean on them, and that's what they're there for.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. You made me feel emotional, the stuff about giving each other clothes and things like that. But it's interesting, because actually now I think about it as well, the women who I think on the surface are the ones, I think pre-motherhood are the ones who are like, you wait and see, and you wait till this. I think they're the ones that still need the most love and community, and haven't had that, or had a bad birth experience, or been through something, and they're the ones that need the most love and community as well still, don't they? And they might need it a bit further on still.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think in the past we might have been pitted against each other as women a lot.
Yeah.
There's a bit of competition there that might still be embedded in some of us. And if we let that go and realise that as girls, we're all in it together, you know, we're experiencing this life together, and we're really powerful actually together. So I think, you know, bringing people like that into the fold and just going, okay, I hear you, it's difficult. And it is, you know, motherhood is difficult, and we can help each other because we've had this experience that's really similar to each other. So yeah, I think you're right. A bit of love there.
So true. I've just come off the back of a girls' weekend. Girls I've been friends with since I was 16 to 18, and it's like we were like, oh, we didn't realize how like powerful as a group we were together, like back in the day, because we were all awkward teenagers.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of power in a group of women, and I think it's remembering that, and we can bring that again in motherhood, and we do need each other, and can bring more into that fold. So yeah, I love that conversation. I think it's not a smooth journey for anyone, even if you on paper have had that better, you know, smoother journey than others kind of thing.
Yeah, agreed, definitely.
Something I wanted to talk about is sustainability. That's what I notice about this podcast, is the pleasure of founders who are mothers. We are so much more focused on that than a lot of other business owners. And Ancient+Brave being a B Corp and part of the initiative for 1% for the planet is just amazing. Why do you think it's important for brands like this to take these steps, and how does that align with your own values?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think we can think about wellness if we're not thinking about the health of the planet as well as ourselves. I think to be truly well, we have to be thinking bigger than just us. So that's how it aligns with me personally. I know for Kate, who's the founder, she, from the get-go, sustainability was part of the brand. It was the brand. It's the heart of it. It's what she's so passionate about. And she saw other businesses, and you know, she kind of thought, actually, I think we can do this. I think we can make great products which are really high quality, which are beautiful to look at, and we can look after the planet at the same time. And it was her mission from the get-go. And I'm really pleased to say that it's still embedded into every decision we make, every meeting we have. There's something about sustainability or how it affects people, or that social governance piece. So it's less about ticking boxes for us, and it's more about that deeper responsibility that we really feel at our core. And it's about getting that balance right between, you know, the people who we so want to help and our community we want to build, and making sure that we're looking after the planet at the same time. So it's just, we're trying our best. We're not perfect, and we don't claim to be. With our B Corp status, we were so ecstatic to get the first certification a few years ago. We've been through our second round this year, and we're really pleased, I think is a really nice thing to say. But we could be able to share our score soon. And when we first went through B Corp, we were one of the highest scoring wellness brands in the UK, and I think we're going to beat our score. So we've put everything into it. We have this amazing ESG executive, Mercy, and she's doing an amazing job in making sure that we're thinking about every step in everything we do, bringing in beautiful charities like Love Mercy, who we support through 1% of the planet, Rainforest Concern. We know we're always giving back, and when people buy our products, they can be confident that they're also doing that too with the 1% for the Planet initiative. And I think it really does drive us as well. It makes it so different. It levels us up when we're trying to make a difference on that level. It brings something else to the business.
Well, definitely, you can sense that from it. And actually, because I know a lot of founders probably listening to this are interested, a lot of people are interested in B Corp status. So do you have to go through it every couple of years? How does that work?
Yeah, you have to recertify because you're growing, right? Well, hopefully you're growing as a business and things do change. And as we've had to scale up, we've got more people in our business, our office is bigger, our fulfillment centre is bigger, the amount of packaging that we have to make. So everything does change, and each time you do have to go through that process again. It gets more rigorous as you get bigger, because obviously there are more partners involved, we have more suppliers, and how we have to actually make all the more products that we've launched recently. So yeah, it's a hefty old process, but we think it's really worth it, and we want to be accountable for what we do and how we do business.
I'm definitely in line with that. And so with you're obviously a mother, business owner, head of nutrition for Ancient and Brave. I remember you were talking about your wellness tips and beliefs and talking about some pillars. So what are the pillars you believe in we should all try to be following in order to keep ourselves well?
Yeah, so this actually came from really trying to simplify things when I became a mum. I actually look back now when I wasn't a mother, but I was a practitioner and a nutritionist, and I had my clinic and I was speaking to clients. And some of the plans that I set were very challenging for a working mum. I can now understand.
I love
and I
you
was
can
like,
look back with hindsight. Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it?
I was like, oh, bless them. I was really sort of, and I'd do it really compassionately and with hope that they'd be able to apply the steps. But now knowing how challenging it is to look after yourself and put yourself first sometimes in terms of your health and wellness, I've tried to simplify things down a lot more. And that comes through the pillars of health. So I think often when we think of health and wellness, we might think about the exercise that we do and the food that we eat. They tend to be the first two things that come to mind. And they're really important, and we should be thinking about those things. But there are more things to think about. So we also have to think about mindfulness. We have to think about sleep and rest.
Sleep,
we have to
that
think,
one.
Yeah, well, I know, and very triggering word for us mums.
I love that. It's a triggering word. That is indeed, isn't it?
It really is. And and I do, again, without putting too much pressure on it, it is a really important pillar for health. And then I think connection, community is the last one. So because there are all these really important pillars, nutrition, movement, mindfulness, rest, connection, because there's all these pillars, we have to learn how to just do a little bit of each. We don't have to be masters of our diet and nutrition, which often people can tend to go down that rabbit hole where they go, everything has to be perfect about my diet. I can't have this. I must have that. I need to remember these three things in every meal. What we need to do is think, if I'm doing a little bit in each of those areas, that's really helpful. That's really balanced. So just try to simplify it down. In your nutrition, if the thing that you focus on the most is, I'm going to get as many whole foods in my diet rather than processed foods, that's an amazing target. That's enough. That, it will, honestly, that will make such a huge difference to your life. Or if you're already doing that, then maybe the next level up is, I'm going to make sure I have protein and plants in every meal. Just really, really simple steps in that one particular pillar. Then you look at your next pillar. What kind of movement am I doing? Am I going for a walk every day? Because if you're not, then that's a great first step. If you're already doing that, then maybe you'll level up and try and fit in a few fitness classes here or there. For me, I'll be 1 or 2 classes a week and then 10 minutes at home trying to do a yoga routine or maybe a few weights. I'm just trying to grab those snippets of time, and that's fine. That's, it's okay to be just doing a little bit. And then for mindfulness, again, trying to find that snippet of time, that 10 minutes a day, or even if it's just 2 minutes while your kettle boils and you make your coffee and collagen. Great. But you need to be ticking that box as well. And then the rest and sleep. And I put rest and sleep together because they do, they interact with each other. And the sleep is an important pillar, but knowing that if you're somebody with a very young child who's, very normally waking up during the night, which is what biologically the infants will tend to do,
I love that you say biologically. It's not because they're a bad baby.
Yeah, I know, and I did that. I totally did that when I was, I had in society a bad sleeper, but really now I know that she was a very normal sleeper, and she just wasn't fitting into
survival.
Yeah, she was just trying to survive, bless her. But yes, so sleep, as important as it is, if you can try and support your sleep in some way, if that means getting more daylight during the day or putting your laptop down an hour before bedtime, just little things that are going to help to make that sleep a little bit better for yourself. And then connection, which I think is often forgotten, and it's so important. And as mothers, we often get a lot of connection, which is so lovely with our little ones and our children, but we need that adult connection too. We weren't supposed to do it alone. We were supposed to live in these huge tribes, and we get so much for our health and wellness from being around other people and learning from other people and leaning on other people. And my final pillar, which I forgot to mention, is nature.
Yes.
So we can draw from nature in the foods that we eat, in having plants in our home, which we spoke about before, which are really difficult to keep alive sometimes.
Yeah, we are not. If you're in our camp of not keeping plants alive, welcome.
Yes. But we'll do our best. Or even just stepping outside and seeing the sky, looking up at the sky for a little bit, just connecting with nature can have a really profound effect on how we feel about ourselves and our well-being.
I heard barefoot on grass can help as well.
Oh, yeah, it's a marvellous thing. Difficult in the winter, more difficult in the winter.
I was just thinking about going out to it. I'm like,
Oh, yeah. But it's so good. This connection that we can have with the earth and the electromagnetic field of the earth. It sounds really woo, honestly. But we now have studies about our same here, as you could probably tell. But there are now studies to prove, or not even to prove, to understand what we've already known about it. But yes, it can have a really profound effect on grounding, on inflammation. There's so many positive benefits from simply taking our shoes off.
Yeah. Honestly, there's so much I could peel from all of this because I love this topic. But actually, I'm going to go with the most current that made me have a think. I was at the gym the other day and a lot of women, it was Pilates class, and the Pilates teacher and someone else was like, oh, I don't rest. And well, as women, we don't rest, do we? We've got too much to do. And it's almost like, it was like they're speaking from this badge of honor. And I know they weren't alone. I'm not judging them. But we're really now, I think, just starting to realize, like, mothers at some point would just encourage that. Oh, we're martyrs. We don't need to rest. And that's our job, is to be there for everyone else. And I just wanted to scream. Like, I went to do my meditation afterwards and I just wanted to scream. I was like, I had a really busy day, but I knew I was stressed. So I went and just did 10-minute stress relieving one. I use apps for it. I love it. But that's it's such a thing to break down, that there's so many women still out there that have this ingrained belief that we shouldn't be resting.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's this like toxic trap of productivity, right? Where if you're not productive, then you're not useful, or it's not helpful to the world around you, and it's just so not true. And I personally have struggled with that. When there'll be times when I'm just flying all over the place and I've got a million things to do on my to-do list, and I need to be at this meeting, or this person needs this thing, and I still have to pick up some new socks for Lyra who's run out, and there's so many things, and I'll sit down and I'll need that 10-minute meditation, and that's often when I need it the most, actually. Is when I think I don't have time for this. It's often when I need it the most. And I'll sit there and it'll take me a while to go, it's okay, you don't have to do anything. It's okay. You don't have to be anywhere right now. You can have 10 minutes. It really does. It's a real discipline, but we do need that. We need to fill up that cup, because actually, if you're this cornerstone, you're this, this keystone that's keeping your family going and your business going. If something happens and you can't, your health and your wellness, you're pinning everything onto, then everything crumbles apart. So you're keeping everything going, and you're integral to that. So you need to rest, because without it, you're not a machine. It's going to break down.
I think it's really true, because I always compare it to like Couch to 5K. There's a reason that app is so popular with people who don't run, is that you have to take it in steps.
Yeah.
And I think some people try meditation and they're like, nope, this isn't for me. And it's like, you've got to keep that. I think a word I was going to discuss around is consistency, isn't it? Because I think there's a lot of parallels between consistency in business, but then in health and wellness as well. Do you think that's a key challenge for a lot of, especially mothers? It's hard to be consistent.
It is a challenge for sure. And with everything from supplementation to like a business, like you get this amazing kind of like positive step up every time that you stay consistent with something. You'll see something, some kind of progress leveling up and benefits deepening. Especially with something like meditation, that's a really good example, because I was the same. And when I sat down on my mat the first few times, I was like, what am I doing?
It does feel silly, doesn't it?
It does, and you're like, I don't have time for this, and it doesn't work, and I can't focus anyway. But then the more you do it, and I've done it now for years, and I can hand on heart say it's one of the best things that I've ever started and continue to do. And that it's only through that consistent practice that you're going to notice those benefits. But as a mother, it can be really difficult to be consistent. So I think you have to balance consistency with flexibility. And I think, same with exercise. It's really difficult, because when you're consistent with exercise is when you're going to see the benefits. But you just cannot rigidly put in, every Monday I'm going to do this, every Tuesday I'm going to do this, every Wednesday I'm going to do this, because life is different every day when you're a mum and a business owner. So you just have to be a bit more compassionate about yourself. Fit it in when you can. Give yourself some targets. I'm going to meditate 3 times a week. Great. If you can hit that, amazing. And then maybe you step up to 4 times a week. Maybe at that point you notice, actually, this is really beneficial for me. I'm going to do it every day because it's worth it. And the more you see the benefits, it keeps you going with that consistent pattern because you want to keep feeling a certain way.
I love that. It's consistent, but then also highlighting, don't set yourself goals that are unrealistic. So I think also that's probably a thing. I'm going to meditate every day. And it's like, maybe that's not what you should be aiming for. And you should be just, I think, back when I think I was doing therapy every week, I was working as this. So I actually really lowered my standards and did 1 workout a week. And if I managed 2, that was amazing.
Yeah.
But it was like, I think it was even my therapist at the time was like, well, you're doing this, you're going to have to drop the exercise. That it just makes sense in your time that you can't do both.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll just forgive myself. And now I've ramped it up. Now the therapy's like not there. It's like, okay, I can do 2. And then if I do 3, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I think actually coming up to January, that's something that everybody will be surrounded by, that we're told to do these 30 days something or restrict something for 30 days. And it can be really good to have goals. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think having goals is a really nice thing. And at the same time, I think you have to give yourself some room for flexibility and movement without feeling like you failed or without feeling like that's it, I'm not trying anymore. I had a lot of clients in nutrition who I'd set some targets and plans. And if they hadn't followed the plan exactly as I'd put it, they'd go, they'd have this F it moment. And then they'd go, I'll start again on Monday. And I'd be like, actually, no, whoa. It's fine, that happened. Start again tomorrow. And you just don't have to be perfect. It's just every time you have this opportunity to have a bite of food, you can put something into practice. It doesn't have to be, you don't throw it all out the window. It doesn't all not count anymore, all that hard work. So I think it's just, giving yourself a little bit of leeway and flexibility and not these rigid targets that are numerical and not, intrinsic.
It's very true, because I feel like in business or at work, if you take a step back, you don't go, I'll start again next week. You kind of can't really do that. Yeah. But in wellness, that seems to be a thing. Like if something doesn't go to plan, I'll start next month. Monday. And it's like, no, it's just, you got to take those steps back to then move forward. In a weird way.
And things always happen for a reason, right? Like if you told yourself you wouldn't eat crisps, which I have nothing against crisps, by the way, and I recommend
do. I hate them. I actually personally do. That's that's my thing. I hate them, so we can hate the crisps.
Okay. But for example,
that's not a health thing. That's just me.
That's hilarious. I don't know where I was going with the crisp conversation.
Sorry, I completely sided you. If you had some crisps, say.
Yeah, so if you'd said, promise yourself you'd not had any crisps and then you do have them, it doesn't throw out all the things that you've done before. You can enjoy it. You don't have to, you might have had those because you're feeling really stressed. So it might be a signal as to something else that's going on for you that you can then be curious about. Why did I do that? Why did I stop? When I actually know I want to exercise and it feels good for me, why did I skip that class? And maybe the answer is because you're really tired and you need to stop for a minute. Or maybe the answer is because you actually chose to spend the morning with your child, and that's okay too. So I think we can put a lot of guilt on ourselves for not getting it right, but actually it can sometimes just signal like a deeper issue that's going on for you.
It's a sign of growth, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
It's like you're actually thinking about it rather than beating yourself up.
Yeah.
A great way of framing that.
Definitely.
Well, Jo, it's been an absolute pleasure. I feel like you've got so much wisdom to bring, and I feel like I need to book a session with you. Something we like to kind of end this on is that I've had this ongoing theme of joy for this season, and it's mainly because I just rediscovered my joy, which is going to the theatre, and I feel so much more joy actually than pre-motherhood, because I kind of made it a focus of what's my joy, what brings me joy. Going back to dance-based classes, that's my joy. And I think if mothers could feel they could have their own selfish joy, it brings us more joy in motherhood, is basically that's my belief, and business and things. So what's your journey been with joy, and have you had to rediscover any of your own personal joys since becoming a mother?
For sure. And actually, I think joy, it's really interesting. Before I became a mum, I worked with a really cool coach she helped me really understand what my core values are in life, and it was a really amazing moment, and joy was one of them. And I just, I want to be able to experience life in all its wonder, and what motherhood did bring me was that reminder of there's just joy in the really small pool. I call it the extraordinary ordinary. Just,
the glimmers. I've heard it's called a glimmers as well.
Exactly. and that, because I do have to slow down, and your world does get a bit smaller when you become a mother sometimes, and that's okay. There's some real amazing small joys and wonders in that. But for me as Jo, not a mum, I am at my absolute happiest when I am outside in nature, in the woods, and I can be alone or I can be with other people, but I feel so much joy in those moments. And I also, before being a teacher, before that whole life happened, I danced all the time. I was convinced I was going to be a dancer and go to dance school and do all these things, and I didn't. I pivoted again and went into teaching, and that was mainly a safety mechanism for me, just trying to keep a bit safe and not always following that joyful path. But I have recently gone back to dance classes.
Yay! You can join me there. Can I ask as well, I was having this conversation with the founder of Frame, Pip. Did you stop dance when you decided not to? This is what's interesting. It's like a lot of women do this as well. We just stop something because we're not going to continue it as a career or whatever, rather than thinking, oh, this brings me joy, so I should continue to do it, just maybe less of it, kind of thing. For sure.
And also, I think, it was because I wasn't following that path in terms of a career, and I was so ambitious as well, I think. But also, it made me sad to think that I wasn't following that path, I think. So I just kind of left it to one side for a while. But rediscovering dance, I mean, I've loved watching things like Strictly for years, don't get me wrong. I've absorbed all the dance around me, but actually
I'm definitely going to be on it one day. Do you not feel like that?
If that's not the goal, then I don't know what is, honestly. But yes, I'm now in training. So, if we're in the year where we're matched against each other, Carolyn, you need to,
up my training. Right,
up your training. So yeah, I've gone back into the studio, and I couldn't feel better about it. And just being not being a mum who's I feel like I've got porridge on me and not feeling most glamorous. I'm suddenly in front of a mirror and trying to find nice poses, and I'm like, oh, there I am. Hi. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, so nice. That lovely. That warms my heart. It's like I planned it, that I got someone who loves to dance as well on it. I didn't know that. So, and it is. I think it's so important we go back to what brings us joy and remember who we are, because also then I do think seeing empty nesters and things, listening to them, listening to parents of teenagers, it helps you then hopefully not feel completely lost at those stages, because you've kept those parts of you going in some form or in a little way.
Definitely. So, I was going to say there's a mother archetype which we look at in sort of ancient wisdom, and it's this really beautiful archetype of creation. So you don't have to be an actual mother to embody this mother archetype. But one of the watch outs for the mother archetype is that we can very easily lose ourselves in whatever the creation is. So if it's a business or a baby, we can very often lose sight of who we are during that. And it's always a good thing to think about when you are creating something, whether it be a business or you're writing a book or you've got a child, is just remembering that actually you're really important and you're modelling what is important to your baby and your business as well.
I love that. I'm going to look up the mother archetype. I'm going to look that up. Yeah,
we've got an article of it on the Ancient+Brave website, so you're very welcome to look at that.
I will put a link in the show notes to this article then. So so check out the show notes for that. Jo, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. As our final podcast of 2024, the season of joy. I think it's been an absolute pleasure to have you, and I'm so glad we ended with you. And we're also going to be releasing a little meditation with you. So everyone, we've been talking about mindfulness. Check out that in the next episodes. But Jo, where can people find you and find out more about your work with Ancient and Brave?
Yeah, sure. So you can find Ancient and Brave on Instagram, or you can follow us on ancientandbrave.earth, or I'm on Instagram too. I'm Jo Woodhurst Nutrition over there. So yeah, come and say hi.
Again, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've loved every moment talking to you.
I'll see you on Strictly.
Yeah, see you there.
Thank you so much to Ancient and Brave for sponsoring today's episode of the Bump to Business Owner podcast. Try their Find Your Ritual quiz online to find out which of their products will help you achieve your wellness goals. Subscribe, and not only will you get your order regularly delivered to your door, you'll also receive a ritual scoop. As a member of 1% for the Planet, 1% of Ancient and Brave sales go towards helping environmental partners working towards a better future for our planet. For more details, go to ancientandbrave.earth. Thank you so much for listening to Bump to Business Owner. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please do rate, review, follow, or subscribe wherever you're listening. It really helps us to connect with more mums and business owners. You can DM me on @BumpToBusinessOwner on Instagram, and I'll be back next week.